All right, welcome back to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast, a place where culture isn't just consumed, it's studied, where hip hop isn't just heard, it's interpreted as a lens of life, identity, and community. I am Melanie, the Hip Hop Scholar. Like, subscribe, listen, comment, feel something as we go along. Now, as we step into 2026, I'm thinking less about resolutions and more about honesty, about what we're willing to face, release, and grow through. This year already feels like a call to move with intention, to slow down enough to actually hear ourselves and to honor the parts of the journey we usually hide. And the music that finds us in seasons like this is rarely simple. It doesn't hand us easy answers. It invites us to sit with the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Because today's conversation lives right inside that space of reflection and renewal. And today's guest is creating exactly that kind of work. Joining me is John Anthony, an artist who moves with intention and honesty in every single bar. Known to many as Uncrowned King, an artist whose work speaks directly to the quiet work of becoming. John Anthony doesn't rush the process. He doesn't posture. He creates with intention, discipline, and an understanding that real growth happens when no one is watching. His most recent project, The Mask is Slipping, released in November 2025, is an 8-track experience that channels vulnerability, complexity, and collaboration into a cohesive artist statement. On this project, we hear titles like Unhinged Desires Part 2, Spiral, Crash Out Kenny featuring Atira Janae, Vintage Ripper and Michael Armstead, and the emotionally grounded songs such as Into the Dark with Michael Armstead, No Strings Attached with Flood, and one of my favorites, Louisiana Sun. What stands out about The Mask is Slipping isn't just its sonic range, it's the way the project embodies a conversation between introspection and connection. These are songs that sit with questions about identity, vulnerability, and resilience. Exactly the kinds of themes many of us are facing as we consciously step into a new year. This conversation we're about to have isn't just about the craft of music. It's about the process of becoming, of showing up fully, and of what it takes to keep creating in a world that often rewards noise over nuance. What I appreciate most about John Anthony's work is that it doesn't pretend the journey is easy, but it does affirm that it's worth it. His sound captures what many of us are feeling as we enter a new year, a desire to move forward without erasing where we've been, to evolve without losing ourselves, and to build something lasting without needing a crown placed on our heads. So, whether you're listening while setting intentions, asking big questions about purpose, or simply preparing to do better by yourself this year, this conversation is for you. So, we welcome to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast, John Anthony.
How you doing? How you doing?
All right. We are doing all right. How are you today? And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm feeling blessed, honored to be here.
Oh man, honored, definitely so. Giving you your flowers in the introduction. As the youth leading this charge in hip hop, definitely want to unpack this music with you and take the time to really understand the nuances and becoming who you are. So let's start with the first question, John Anthony. Hip
All
hop,
right.
first time you heard it, when did you fall in love with hip hop? Talk to us.
I grew up in a musically inclined house. My dad actually rapped, and I think it was just something you were kind of born with. I always say like music is within us. You know, the first sign of life is the heartbeat. And I would say it definitely came from my father. Also, growing up, I was born in '96, so growing up in New Orleans and being able to come up through the early 2000s and seeing others that not only look like me but aren't too far in age, ascend and tell their stories and do all these different things. It definitely had a positive impact. I can vividly remember listening to Scarface early in the morning on the way to school uh, in my dad's old Buick. And I would just kind of sing. I wouldn't remember the whole song, but I would sing like the quotables all day. And then just witnessing how my dad moves. I always wanted to be like him. Uh, and the vulnerability he had in his music definitely was something that I feel blessed and highly favored to have witnessed and have be a part of me.
Oh yeah, such a beautiful way to give honor to your dad. Shout out to your father for raising you right. To listening to Scarface first thing in the morning. What do you remember the song?
It was I don't remember it was just this it was more production based. It was just I think it was excuse my language, I think it was balls in my word is all I have in this world is all I have in this world is I something about that just caught me. And my dad always was very big on respect and honor, and he would say the same thing. And then growing up watching the Scarface films and having that synchronization between music, movie, and life kind of, you know, be the foundation of how I moved as a kid that wanted to be grown. And even now as an adult who is very based on respect.
Absolutely. And giving respect into this 30. You're getting ready to turn 30 this year, which still
Yeah.
grown man still in that, but also young enough to remember what it's
Hmm.
like and to capitalize on those mistakes that you
Hmm.
may have made, as well as the friends that are around you. Being born
Hmm.
and raised in Louisiana, so you were in that space where you did see that rise in the Louisiana music, and being a part of that in your youth, in addition to that Texas music as well. Um,
Yeah.
and so those influences in your music, the most latest one, The Mask is Slipping. I really like that title. What mask are you referring to when you name that project?
Um, it just pretty much the mask of like a lot of people who listen to my music, they like the vulnerability, and it's often the more softer side of it. You know, whether it be love or just affirmations or everything. I was going through some stuff early within the year, and I remember talking with my best friend, and I was like, the mask is starting to slip, like I'm starting to become more volatile in reaction. It's becoming more primer. All my responses weren't as calculated. It was like if you made me feel away, I was just jumping to whatever. And it was alarming because I've done a lot of inner work within myself that I continue to do daily, and I didn't like the feeling of knowing like it felt too natural. So I remember saying that to my friend in the midst of like a rant, just kind of getting everything off my chest, and it just kind of stuck. And I was like, that'd be a cool thing to kind of delve into on a project. And I ended up talking to Michael Armstead. He is my producer, best friend, collaborator. And we were just, he was like, oh, I got this beat. I know you going through some stuff. I got this beat. I got this beat. And I was like, oh, I wrote to that. I wrote to that. I wrote to that. And then he was like, so you have like pretty much almost a project worth of stuff. And I was like, yeah, but I'm rewriting some of it because of where I'm at. I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm past the point of where I was. So now that's where you got like Spiral, Crash Out Kenny. Those were songs that were written in the heat of the moment, which is why like especially like the second verse. My second verse on Crash Out Kenny is more violent because it was exploring this uncomfortable nature of just being angry. Um, I feel like we all have masks that we put on, whether it be a facade for work, whether that's code switching when you're going from talking in your flavorful language to hi, how are you? How you feeling today? Or just putting on a smile when you're not too good. So I felt like that would reach people, and everybody has a mask. So that's why I feel like a lot of people appreciate this project because you can relate to it. You know.
Absolutely. Very relatable. The beats are super dope as well, right? The beats that go along with that, the lyrics that go along with that. Yet also
Hmm.
what I really appreciate is that like you're saying, the mask is slipping, and this being in the hip hop rap genre, this is
Hmm.
opening up to so many different audiences that can feel that way. That's, again, why I'm so glad we were able to do this at the very beginning of the year, is so that
Yeah.
people can have that reflection, so people can definitely take that time, which is why I push people to actually listen to the music. Like, this
Hmm.
podcast is dedicated to real artists. So as you grow into this artistry and get this vision of success, the lyrics are there. You have very strong lyrical content. The producing of those beats really works so well together. And so that vulnerability of being able to go back and reflect and even analyze where you were at that time to where you're going and becoming, this is a very turnaround year for you when we look into
Yeah.
the age of 30, and then just everyone all together for 2026. There's a lot of things that are coming, that hopefully everybody has prepared for. So as I speak with you, John Anthony,
Hmm.
what truth about yourself did you have to confront when making this project? I know you talked about the anger.
Hmm.
There were things that were coming from. So, like, how were you able to revise that when it came to actually producing or putting together those lyrics?
Um, it was just about being honest, you know. Even the way the cadences go was kind of how I was feeling. That's why with especially like with Spiral, it just there is no um there is no lead into it. There's no build up. It just goes straight into this blaring like bounce, 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 and um even like just the cadences, how we work the cadences, especially in like those that front end, it's more manic. It's in a more of a state of mania where it's just pure emotion, not really thinking. And then sonically, it goes from that manic feeling to this hyper confidence that you get with like Over East, Into the Dark, No Strings Attached, where I'm like speaking of myself as higher than what I may have presented in that first half, and then it kind of settles down with Infinity Loop where I'm more, and even down to like the vocal structure, where it's like more more forward. I would say everything was bold and italicized as far as how I spoke in the first half, and then you get to this last song, and now I'm more like calm. I'm speaking about remembering trauma, but not letting it redefine and putting God first, which was one thing that I think was a challenge. I always say, a mistake is only a lesson that we just have to deal with and be accountable with. And the hurdles and adversity we have are only tests to be broken out of that shell that we were molting in to get into a bigger position. So I think that this year, um, my mind got allowed my mind to kind of venture into, well, if this person is doing this, or I see people who will tell you, "Oh, I made a few M's, or I could feed my family off of doing something I don't even care about." It take me 3 years to finish an album because I want it to be right. It took those moments of like it's not fair and I'm tired, and so I was able to acknowledge that it's okay to not be okay, but you got to figure it out and keep faith forward.
Hmm. Wise words, so much wisdom, so much intellect, like brilliance in what you're sharing. Shout out to Michael Armstead. That's your best friend. That's your producer.
Yeah.
How long have you all been making music together?
Um, Closing in on a decade. I think this year makes. I've been knowing him for 10 years. I've been working with him for 9. We met in the most hip hop venue. We were at a battle, rap battle, and we were in the crowd on stage, and we were just talking. And this was around the time that Kanye West had dropped The Life of Pablo, and he used the perfect sound from Street Fighter. And I forgot what the line was that the guy said, but the crowd kind of got quiet because they needed to digest the line. And then he goes perfect, and I was like, okay, cool. And then that night he had performed, and I was blown away with his talent, and we kind of kept up. We kept running into each other, and then within the next year, I had a show that I was on called the Bando. It's a concert in Baton Rouge for those who don't know. Um, And I kept bothering him. Hey, come to the show. I got something real nice. Kept bothering, just didn't stop. He came, and that pretty much set in stone how we started working on music because I was able to finally show, hey, you did that, I do this, we can do this together, and it kind of was just history from there.
Oh, that's a fantastic story to give such reverence to what he did, to see him perform and to give him his flowers. You know, not many people are able to be that mature, to be able to see the greatness in someone else and speak them up. And then for both
Hmm.
of you all to do that, to create a friendship, but also this mindset of creating this great music. Like I was so
Yeah,
intrigued when you tagged me on that song, and then to hear the rest of the music, especially when we first tried to interview to now, you know, you all have
yeah.
such a great thing going. Like, I mean, this is going to be
Thank
such
you.
an amazing year for you all as you promote this music, because this is it's mature, but it also brings in that youthful sound, but in such a wise way, because it has
Hmm.
the beats, it has the lyrical ability, and it's just balanced, where I don't think that that's something that could be done like by AI, which a lot of newer
Hmm.
generation artists are doing. Like you all still have that old school methodology in which you're putting the music together, and still have that youth there with that. So I am encouraging and going to be witnessing you all rise as you go through this year sincerely.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So this Uncrowned King title,
Hmm.
so talk to me about where that name comes from, right? I think John Anthony may be your actual government name, but I'm intrigued to understand the Uncrowned King and how you came up with that pseudonym as well.
Um, yeah, it was real simple. It was more of a mindset. That I pretty much lived by my whole life. I just put a name to it a while back. I always feel like I give 110% in whatever I do, and sometimes that comes with not getting the due diligence of acknowledgement. But there's always the pursuit of just perseverance and continuing to do what you do. And oddly enough, it was it was um it was a mindset that I turned into a business back when I was in college. I love sneakers, and sneakers and hip hop to me are like I like this.
Mhm.
And it was the name of the company that I was starting. I was restoring shoes, so I would clean them, repaint them, do all of that. And so oddly enough, I didn't have an Instagram when I first went to college. I kind of wanted to experience college solely through my own lens, and I did that. And Uncrowned King pretty much was just the name that I went with, but it meant to keep striving. So even if you do crown me as something, I in my mind um I'm not there, and not in a bad way. I think the talent is there. Even now it feeds into what I do because um sometimes Michael, being my balance, he has to remind me, like, hey, you can acknowledge that you did something good because usually I'm on to the next thing because I feel as if I'm not getting as much, not necessarily praise, but just that the craft isn't getting as much respect and the effort is kind of getting um watered down as far as the reach that I wanted to have with people.
Okay. And so that being uncrowned, but still that king, recognizing that
Hmm.
king part, I really like that. And I'm with Michael. I agree with Michael, where definitely taking the time to really acknowledge what you've done. And as a college professor in higher education, I teach my students that, you know, being so confident and sure of yourself and your message, that the applause is just extra. You know, people clapping and swaying to the beat, that's extra, but being very extremely proud of what you put together. And on my podcast, I've talked to newer generation artists, but also artists who are still performing, and they're in their latter years, like in their 40s, 50s, even 60s. So they're
Hmm.
no cap. And even in mainstream like Clips and Jay-Z and Kanye and many other artists, especially Clips, because them going up for a Grammy and coming back with this resurgence of their music in an older age, you never
Mhm.
stop growing. So just as you've taken the time to analyze from where you were to where you are now, you will continue to do so. And so making music is something that is truly in you and never stopping. Like, hip hop is, like you said, you were born into it. Your
Yeah,
father and family raised you in the music. So there really is no cap when it comes to creating music. And I think also for yourself, being the uncrowned king, but focusing on heavily the king part, never stopping because, it's not exactly what you feel that others aren't. Because as well, you and Michael are the exception. There's haters out there, right? People
yeah,
watch what you do, they listen to everything they do, but they won't like, they won't subscribe. They'll be behind the scenes looking at it, but they'll purposefully not give you that credit because of their own shortcomings. And there's a lot of people that are like that, John Anthony. So definitely keep that into consideration, that the more you keep investing into yourself, the people are listening. Like people like myself, I'm listening. And for this platform is not just to promote the music. This is also a scholarly archive to create a space in academia for people to quote, to be able to use your words to grow their theories and their knowledge. So I want for you to know that, not only am I a fan, I'm also making certain that you have a space in academia based off of the talent and the work that you have done. And I hope that that means just a little bit of the scope of your journey, that you are able to um, have an audience that appreciates it to a high degree.
yes, man. It means the world to me.
Sincerely
It
so, sir.
definitely does.
Yeah, your music means a lot. And so that's why today, we're taking the time to unpack and focus on you. Even though I feel like you, just like you said, you're just ready to go on to the next assignment. You just, you have this scientific brain where, okay, I've completed this experiment. Now I'm ready to test the other
Hmm.
experiment. Instead of just kind of enjoying and celebrating the steps that you've taken to create. So, um, was there a moment during the project where you realized that, you know, going back to how you used to create wasn't an option? Like what turning point was that for you where, this song can't stay as is? Um, feel it, did you feel lighter or heavier once you revised that music? And you kind of answered that already, but I want for the audience to unpack this with us as well. So um what moment for you during the project did you realize that, what, I can't go back to what I used to do when I was making this music?
It was when I was pretty much we were about 80% done with it. What I like to do sometimes is I will listen to everything that I put out all together. So I went from my first album down to the current works, and I was like, okay, cool. And now um I can hear like on my first project where I was nervous to do things. I was like, I don't know if I'm. So I was like that uncertainty that gotta go. And I'm gonna let people have it. Especially with the um the title and the concept. Like the mask is like Pandora's box, and it's coming off. So whatever you get out of that is what you get. There is no control to that. Um, and so I was listening to. I want to say Crash Out Kenny. I think I just listened to that a lot because it was the most in the moment. I had just experienced some betrayal, and I felt like I'm always put in the forefront as protection for people. And then when I needed you to be there once, you weren't there. And so I think that was the moment where I was like, okay, this is different. This is because, like I said, I've spoken about, oh, follow your dreams, do this, and keep yourself cool, check your mental, but then you don't see the back end of that. That every light has a shadow. So this is me just bringing, no pun intended, bringing the shadow into the spotlight. And I think that is really important because it's experimental, but also it's just something that to show that you can make art out of the things that you don't like when you hold that mirror up to yourself.
Interesting. Wow, that's very interesting. Bringing that shadow into the light. Interesting. So let's talk some more about this music too. So Louisiana
Mhm.
son, right? I am a
Yeah,
Louisiana, born and raised from the state of Louisiana myself. So it feels rooted in place as well as identity from where we are from. So talk to us about what does where you're from still teach you about who you are? How important is it to keep close ties to where you're from when you are creating your music? What does it still teach you about yourself being from where we are from?
uh, it 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 is always important to keep Louisiana. There aren't many places that I would say hold a candle to Louisiana as far as impact. Um, I think for me, it's always trying to, especially like, like I said, I grew up in New Orleans. Baton Rouge is my second home, due to Katrina. Louisiana, specifically New Orleans, but Louisiana as a whole has a tie to me because it made me productively crazy. It drove an insanity in a productive way to where I'm like, well, I done lost everything before. What is there to lose anymore? Even in my other ventures where I was naturally my logical thought would have been, that's a little too much. I can't do that, da, da, da. It helped me because we have a fire about us that you don't see from anywhere else. That's why when you see it, you can say that person's from Louisiana. And I think just that going back to that, I've lost everything before. What I got to lose if I try, helped me to start rapping. As far as like, I always rap, but as far as like trying to pursue it as a career, it helped me when I started my sneaker business. When I designed and then went into production of my own shoes. It was just like what I got to lose. So it definitely it's just resilience, resilience and having the flavor that we have, and that's not just the flavor that you can consume in food or a drink or a dish, but the flavor that we have, that extra spark that we seem to have, that charm that you only get from Louisiana.
I know that's right, man. That touches my heart absolutely. Saying it as poetic as you just stated, like such greatness right there, John Anthony. Because
Thank
I feel like that
you. Thank
too. Being from where we are from, the state of Louisiana, especially going through Katrina and losing everything,
you.
being in the belly of the Gulf, and not being
Yeah,
able to access pictures and memorabilia, and all we have are the memories that are there. But that word
yeah,
resilience and even adding perseverance and unabashedly being able to say, you know what, I'm going to move forward and try
yeah,
to do something new anyway. And that speaks volumes, about your character, about your leadership, because many people can't bounce back from things like that. And you and I both know that many people aren't able to get out of that mindset.
hmm,
Sometimes people hold on to such a negative way of thinking because of things like Katrina or things that happen, in the neighborhoods, or, thinking that, oh, it's just a party place, and not having that
yeah,
respect and honesty to think that no, there are many great things like going to college in Louisiana. I got both my bachelor's degree and my first master's degree in the state of Louisiana, and being reared in that state before coming to Texas.
hmm,
There is nothing like being from and being raised in the state of Louisiana and going off to different places and really being able to showcase who we are and what we do.
right,
So yeah, you said it better than me with that flavor that we have. And so yes, I really appreciate that. So even the artists, that you've collaborated with. How did you choose working with them? I know Michael Armstead, again, shout out to him again. That's your producer as well as your best friend. But
Hmm.
how were you able to select the collaborators for this personal project?
Um, Very organically. I'm a fan of all of them. I support them. Um, Flood is blood couldn't make me and him any closer. Latira is phenomenal. Um, I just love her work. I think that she is she is the complete artist. I mean, she does it all, and like her singing is immaculate. Um, and what people don't realize is that the girl pen, I'm sorry, the woman's pen is ridiculous. I was like, I need to get her rapping on this project, and I hope to collaborate with her where I can get her to sing because the way that she structures her runs, it makes it seem like, oh, it was just second nature. The way that she just a very, very beautiful voice that has the heaviest impact on the heartstrings. I've always been a fan of her. Um, with Juan, I've always been in the same circles. We've always talked like, yeah, we need to do this, and I just like how smooth he is. And it matches his personality. Not even, it's him just extending himself through art. So it was just when I heard these things, I'm like, okay, cool. I need these people on this project. I don't have the opportunity to work with a lot of people because I'm very picky, and it's not, and I need to know people are gonna make me when I get their verses back. I need to be able to go, wait, do I need to put something else on there? And that's just iron sharpening iron. All of those people were amazing. And I'm forever grateful to them, and I look forward to doing more with them and seeing them progress.
Absolutely. I'm so thankful that you took the time to shout them out because, you said a little bit about the process where you sent the track to them and then they wrote back with you, or were you
Hmm.
all in the booth together? Like, what was the process with being able to
We
collect?
it was more remote. I would love to have had like just a bunch of big sessions where we could just, but we're all working and busy and everything. So I got it sent out to him. And I think that it was just really important to get those people in their own, let them put their artistic spin on the vision that I wanted to share with them. And I think them taking it to those places like so granted, I love my verses on all the songs, but I catch myself singing Juan's part, putting racks in the bank and the 16 and like I'm like, oh my God, like just the way he started and then the way that the beat goes from on Crash Out King from the to that like it almost stripped itself down and you get those keys, those piano keys, and she's just on it talking about how like the spirits are with her, and how aligned she is with the spirits, how you really don't want to try her because she got them back in the hug too. Like everything, everything was just perfect, and I was floored by all of the features. I was very much so happy. It made my heart smile to have those amazing features from people who could have easily been too busy to do anything with me. For them to give their time and energy in such a honest way meant the world to me.
Oh yeah. Well, that also speaks volumes about yourself too, Uncrowned King. That king part, right? That leadership part. Having this belief system in what you are creating. Let that also be a sign of success. Is that being able to have remarkable artists, and I'm going to definitely link that music. I know you have Amazon Music and on different platforms.
Yes.
Um, but for people to hear it, to hear the collaboration that you've all created, especially remotely, right? You all not in the
Hmm.
booth together, being able to splice all of that together, that is an amazing feat. And then just like you're saying, appreciating that, but it all started with your idea and the belief system that you have, of the greatness that you encompass, and that's what made them believe that in themselves too. And so they have their own projects, and I'm real interested. I'm gonna have to do my research and listen to the additional music from those particular artists, and then send them my way. I would love to talk to them as well,
I
because
was like,
hip hop is a communal effort. It is about community. It is about lifting each other up, through those challenging times and through the celebratory times. And that's like the old school inaugural facet of what hip hop is. And so you all, I'm not calling you young, but still youthful, to carry that and still give the nod to the old school, that's some insights that I'm hearing, and thankful to hear as well. So in this new track, or the new project, The Mask is Slipping, was there
hmm
was there a particular song that you were maybe a little bit scared to release, but you knew had to be heard? Is there one track on there where it's like, maybe this is too vulnerable, maybe this is too honest, but the world needs to hear it? Like maybe even your favorite track on that project, if you could find one, just one.
Spiral. Spiral, because it's I'm more of as an artist, I'm still finding my own comfort in melody. While I'm still rapping, it's very in his bottle, dog roll dog sky, I'm very uh self-conscious about that. Like even when I do certain stuff, I like Mike had to we recorded it in my living room. He had to like be like, hey man, it's cool. Sound crazy or sound is back, like 'cause those raw vocals gonna sound a little choppy, but that's what producers are for. So he would just send me throughout the week, like if we were working on something, he would send me like the files for an old Young Thug song where he sounds amazing on the song, but then you hear the raw and you're like, oh, this is that made that, and then
Mhm.
it kind of opened up. But I definitely I just felt like I couldn't have though each song is so integral to the song prior that I feel like, you know, even in the title work itself, to go from like Unhinged Desires, which literally picked up off of the last song off of my second album. The last song on my second album entitled Wolves, that song is named Unhinged Desires. So we literally picked up where we left off and making a part two. It feels like going from like saying my dreams drove me insane, it kind of slips into this mania, which is a spiral, which can lead you to crash out a little bit. So it was even that the storytelling within the titles, especially for that front end of the album, I was like, I can't have it's gonna be missing a scene if you don't have spiral in there. Um so I was definitely unsure of it at first, but as we worked on it, I could hear everything piecing together, and I don't regret it now. I love it. I can't wait to perform it at a show. I think it's very concert composed, but we definitely gonna go crazy with that one in in shows. So I can't wait to get to perform all of my stuff, but especially the Mask is Slipping because it's so raw and feeling.
Absolutely. And again, I know it was a challenge to just pick one favorite song out of that, but Spiral being that one that, just spoke out. And I liked how you, conducted your research and listening to Young Thug and seeing that, what the raw process was to what the final project is, again, that
hmm
perseverance of continuing and trying something new. Definitely created something amazing when it comes to The Mask is Slipping, which is a very new project. It just came out not even 3 months ago. Um,
hmm
so, still a new project to the world. And as the world is catching up to it, and it does feel like the songs were methodically placed together, like one, like is connected to the next one. And so in order for you to like season one, season two, season three with the music, you kind of have to
Yeah,
listen to them um in a particular order, right? So
yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm, that music that you linked me to, and then as I conducted my research, John Anthony, you have something amazing going for yourself. You really do. And so as you go into 2026, this is a question that I have, and I'm real eager to hear so that you can teach others. And that's what you're doing now. You're able to lecture and teach others about not only your own brilliance, but maybe for someone else to capture their own. So what's something that you're no longer pretending about as an artist, as a person altogether in 2026? What's something that you're no longer going to be accepting, no longer pretending as you go into 2026?
Um, I would say I'm no longer pretending that, or I would say I'm no longer gonna accept that for myself is thinking that I just gotta always be, I can ignore the doubts. Sometimes those doubts build, especially I think in situations of my life, I've been very much so given the God's strongest soldier package for most of my life. So to be backed against a wall or to feel like the walls are closing in, I need to you have to embrace that inner working of yourself, and that comes with duality, as opposed to everything's fine and I'm just gonna push the negative away. I embrace the negative and hold acknowledgement for um my involvement in that aspect. And when the walls close in, I just push against them, and I know to take my faith and put it in front of my fear, which is something that I've done, but I want to do it more deliberately, where it's more of a choice as opposed to I'm forced to do it, where it's like, if I see something getting too much, I can cut it right there, as opposed to me just trying to keep doing stuff, and now I feel like it's all or nothing. Your faith is a safety net, and I thank God that He brought me through the dark days and allowed me to make light of the darkness. So definitely that.
Yeah, well said, well said, and will continue to do so decades on for sure. You have a brilliant future ahead of you, John Anthony. You and the crew that you surround yourself with, and I really want for you to hear that. Like, no matter the number of subscribers, no matter the likes, continue to make the music because once I speak with artists, that legacy, you are imparting a legacy, especially for our state of Louisiana. You should feel extremely proud because I am to hear your music and the representation that you showcase from our state. You're doing an amazing, amazing job, and the success is there. It's there now, and your vision of success will continue to manifest as you go along as well. So, continuing that process and that thinking that you're doing, especially like you said, you're very picky, very, and I don't like the word picky. I think you have certain boundaries of things that
Yeah,
you will allow and things that you will not tolerate. And that
definitely.
and that's important in all aspects, whether it's music, it's business, and relationships with people. We have to have some type of a boundary and have others to respect our boundaries as well as us respecting them too. And that, I can absolutely respect that piece of what you said too. Let's see. What about if you had any place in the world to perform? And I know you're getting ready to start performing. Y'all hitting the road in 2026. So
Mhm.
any venue in the world, right? No matter the money or anything. Where is the place that you would like to perform and why? Anywhere in the world.
Um, if I could, if the Lord will bless me as much, the Superdome, there's no place I can't. You see it in the back. I'm a Who That Nation person. And once again, me being from where I'm from and being proud of it. I actually a while back I got to do it update it, but I was sending during COVID. I was making videos with my songs attached to the videos and sending them straight to the Saints media department. Like, hey, not saying you got to use it, but this is what it could, and that's and I think that's hilarious because it's so many places that I want to perform, but a lot of them to bring people down here would be amazing. Like people already hear New Orleans and they go, okay, cool. I'm gonna go down there, but to do it at home would be something different. Would be something that I always loved. I performed at the House of Blues, and that show brought the most nerves out of me because I was back home. So definitely the Superdome. Like that building, the city itself, but that building, especially seeing it all pretty now. I remember when the roof was peeling off of it. So it just speaks back to the endurance and the the nature that we have as Louisianians, to just through tragedy, you figure it out and you acknowledge that it's not going to be as pretty all the time. But I can remember a day that kind of built this foundation for me, or built upon this foundation was um, the Saints Falcons game in 2006, the first one back home. The city was still very much so ravaged. They literally was like, look, we still gonna have this good time. We're gonna get this dome back up, get the streets back going. And I remember seeing a picture. It was like the Superdome with this beacon. It was just the only thing lit up in the area. And then if you look in the further background of the picture, it's just black. There's nothing there. And I just was like, man, like that's it spoke to me in ways that words still kind of can't comprehend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. I mean, it like you said, that the endurance and the challenges and that particular venue has gone through. And so I claim that with you, John Anthony, that you will perform at the Superdome more than once even. You
Yeah.
never know who's listening, you never know who's watching, and I would even dare say continue to send that music because the music is there, right? And I'm certain players would absolutely love to hear that. But I'm with you. I can't wait to see you perform at the Superdome the first time and the 100th time as you go along, sir.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That was so. I mean, you've answered my questions. I mean, such a brilliant scholar that you absolutely are. You're so super smart, very sure of yourself, and as the Hip Hop Scholar family for this podcast, as you're listening, this is a leader, of the new school. And as we conclude this podcast, it's so important for this platform to showcase all different generations of musicians. This is for the real artists. I am not interested in interviewing celebrities, so to speak.
Hmm.
Maybe one day I'll have Kendrick Lamar clips or somebody on my platform, but it is always a joy to talk and unpack the process with real artists like yourself. And as you continue on, my goal is to support, to continue to, repost and to witness your greatness unfold. So you have a fan. The Hip Hop Scholar is
Thank you.
definitely a fan. Shout out to everyone you collaborated with, especially the way that you talked about your best friend, Michael Armstead. And my prayer is you all continue to make music all the way to when you all are 99 years old, being in that retirement home, sitting up there on the ones and twos, sincerely.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I got a vision, and I tell Michael this all the time. I've been a student of just a consumer and a student of hip hop for such a long time, and um, we always talk about fashion and stuff, and so he was like, "What is your goal with like what you're doing. And I've had this conversation with Flood, and I was like as well. And I remember talking to him, and I was like, I need that Run DMC moment, where I walk on stage and everybody's holding like a shoe that I made up, like they taking them off their feet to, that type of stuff. You can have $1 million and that's still priceless. So any way that I could get people to feel confident in themselves. I always say I feel like God gave me that productive reckless abandonment where it's like I'm gonna just do it, um, so that other people can see it. And I always tell people like I made my music so you can have a soundtrack to whatever you're going through, and I made my shoes so that you can have something nice and comfortable to walk by faith in. Because sometimes the journey ain't really, it's not an even journey. You got to trek through a lot of mud, a lot of dirt. And, I feel like, me being me, it's a testament to my city, my family, myself that, I give you something that you can look at and be like, okay, this is, whatever I'm doing is not unattainable. Um, so yeah.
Right. So, do you have a storefront for your shoes now, or you have a website where people can go
Not
to?
Everything is under construction because I'm actually working on the version 2. I could actually show them to you. Um, so this was my first one. This was my first one that I designed. It was inspired by the whole design and colorway is inspired by the car that we evacuated in from Katrina. I was in a 1996 Chevrolet Corsica that was black. So it was just me taking that tragedy and turning it into something that I could mold myself into. Um, and this particular one, this is my version 2. This would be the next one that comes out. It was inspired by my mom and sister, but also like the vibrance that 2003 Pharrell had on me, Polo Kanye had on me. And also like when I see those colors, I think of some of the more upbeat songs that I have. That's the colors that I just saw. So it's just translating the music and story behind the music into something that you can wear. And I mean, once again, I thank God for that every day.
Man, those shoes are real fly. Like I'm like, they're purple and
Thank
pink.
you.
You got a size 10, like for sure. um, so
I'm working on it. Yeah.
okay, good. So maybe in 2026 you'll have that link up, and yeah, I will definitely be buying a pair. Trust that I'll buy myself and my husband a pair at the very least, because I love to support my artists. I do my best like to ask, what other ventures that you have, and then I reach out and try to purchase or donate money and everything because the support,
Yeah.
I love the support. What is the name of your shoe business?
Right now, that model, I'm still working on like a full. Like I said, everything was organic with me, so I just kind of did it. This model is named the Art Club Mendez. The collective that me and Michael have together is called Art Club.
Okay.
I designed it myself, and the name Mendez was the street that I grew up on the years prior to evacuating. So it's just a nod back to home,
Oh,
So that's really important to me.
that's awesome. Yeah, that purple and pink, even that black pair, but that purple and pink pair, trust. Soon as you get that underway, I'll follow you on your Instagram. And so once it is, trust, there'll be a pair purchased by the Hip Hop Scholar, and man, I will wear that for sure. Those are really nice, and more
Thank you.
importantly, the story behind them, of your creation of them, that there really speaks volumes and is just that is it's amazing. And I'm if it means anything coming from me, I'm extremely proud of you, John Anthony, for everything that you're putting together and for what the future holds for you as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And, I'm sure that your parents and your family and friends, again, shout out to your father for raising you right and putting you on this path of hip hop. And shout out to your mother and your sister for inspiring you. And you are, looks like you're a family man where you love your family. You are, and influenced by them, and no doubt that you influence them as well. And that's a beautiful thing to see. That's a beautiful thing to see too. Yeah. Oh, this
Thank
is so
you.
good. This was such a great interview. I look forward to having you back on the podcast. Maybe even when you when you have the shoe business going, or whenever you start performing. Like, I would invite you to the podcast again if you want to do so.
Oh yeah, anytime, definitely. I would love to come back.
Okay. That'll be awesome. That'll be fantastic. Well, we're going to sign off for the Hip Hop Scholar podcast for the 2026. Stay tuned. The links to John Anthony, Uncrowned King, The Mask is Slipping, out now on all musical platforms. This is the Hip Hop Scholar podcast. We are out of here. Peace. See you on the next one.